Good evening, everybody. It is Monday. It is 8 o'clock. We are bang on time this evening. It's episode 16 of the Total Evercade Podcast. I can't believe it. 16. That's like 32 weeks that we've been doing this. Absolutely insane. Right, I'm going to try and skip all the pre-ramble stuff because we've got a lot to get through in our hour tonight. So before we introduce our guests of honor, who we can see gloriously in the middle, we'll quickly run round and introduce the rest of the panel. We have got Mr. Blunners.
Hello, everyone.
We have got Ryan.
Hello, welcome. This is an episode that you don't want to miss. This is going to be great.
Exactly that. And as always, we have our guru and head chief with Mr. Sir Top and Hat, Mr. Derek. How are we doing, good sir?
Good evening. It's great to be here once again. So, hopefully an action-packed evening ahead.
It is going to be. And for everyone that's joining us live, you are all very, very welcome here. So thank you. Please, if you do have questions, do throw them into the chat. We will get them started and we will get to them at the end. But yes, we are very, very excited. Ryan was sort of brought this out the last time we were chatting that this was possibly going to happen. It has happened. We've made it work. This is absolutely fantastic. We have got the creators of Full Void, which is going to be coming to Evercade in just a few weeks, joining us this evening. So we have the development team from Out of the Bit. And that is, let me get this right now because I did write this down. We've got Ali.
Hi. We are very excited to be here together with you tonight. Yeah.
Brilliant. Welcome, Ali. We have got Miles.
I'm one of the artists on Full Void.
Welcome. And we have got Leo.
Hello, I'm also another artist here.
Welcome. You guys are so welcome here. Thank you so much for giving up some time to come and join us on our little slice of the internet to talk, well, just all things Full Void. Can't wait.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
No problems. So let's jump straight into our first topic, which is something we love to ask people, whether it's developers or content creators. And that is just some of your early gaming memories, some things that sort of drew you into the hobby of video games, whether that was when you were younger or if you were a late bloomer. Yeah, just give us some stories of some of your early gaming memories.
Of course, I guess I'll start and then we can take turns.
Yeah.
So I'm Ali, as I said, I'm the founder and director of the company, Out of the Bit. And my earliest gaming memory, I'd say, is arcade machines, bars, near the seaside as well, where I waste my money, all the classic from Atari, and then really like Outrun as well. Mostly like really quick game to pick up and play. Big fan of those. Also remember playing together with my cousin on his Commodore 64, which I loved. And I asked my parents, get me a Commodore 64, and they got me a BBC Micro. But I loved it nevertheless. And I learned to program on that machine. It was great for basic and, was really good machine to program. And then I took it from there, I went on to the Amiga, and that's the rest, PlayStation, Mega Drive, all the rest. What about you guys?
Yeah, so my name's Miles. I'm one of the pixel artists for Out of the Bit. I joined last year to help with Full Void. For me, like the earliest gaming memory, born just before the millennium, so PlayStation 2 was my first gaming console. It's now probably considered a retro gaming console, which is...
Yep, it's all good.
feels weird to say. And I used to play that with my brother and my mom and my dad. And we started off with like SSX Tricky, I think.
Yeah.
My parents would just absolutely destroy my brother and I. There was no remorse when we played it. Eventually, like nowadays, I'll beat my parents at video games, fortunately. But then I also really enjoyed a lot of the mascot platformers on the PlayStation 2. So things like Dragon Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, all of those, and those have like really stuck with me as well. So I love drawing art for those games, and always try to like sneak in maybe something to do with those within any sort of game development. Wasn't really possible in Full Void, but hopefully in the future it will be. And then from there, I went on to, I think next console was a Game Boy, and I played loads of Pokemon and just went through all of the different Nintendo consoles. Had a PS3, but then eventually settled on a PC, and I think PC has been my main platform since. And I played a lot of Minecraft on that. And then as well, when it came to like game development, I did a lot of Scratch programming, so visual Scratch programming.
Yeah.
So that's sort of my initial entry into like game development. And with Minecraft as well, it's a sort of similar thing. I did a lot of modding and making texture packs, and that's sort of how pixel art then got developed with that. And then unfortunately, I also played a lot of Dota 2. I don't do that anymore. And now I'm playing Baldur's Gate. It's my latest game.
Excellent.
Right. In my case, it's a very similar background to Miles. Like, same thing. Started off with the PlayStation 2, had a Game Boy as well at the same time. I had an older brother, so I got all the hand-me-downs from him. Whenever the PlayStation 3 came out, he just gave me the PlayStation 2, and I'd be playing by myself on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, very similar games as well. SSX2, Jack and Daxter, and then on the Game Boy, mostly Pokemon games.
Yeah, I love them.
Transitioned to PlayStation 3, and that's when I started playing with friends more as well, and not just by myself. And I started learning about the social aspects of video games, and I got into like Call of Duty and the popular newer games, right? And then I also transitioned to PC games, but through a MacBook. Right. So it was kind of a rough transition. So all I played was Minecraft and League of Legends for about 7 years, all the way through uni as well. And I only got PC recently.
Yeah. How exciting. It's funny that you mentioned Scratch, Miles, because when my son was in secondary school and he was sort of going through their computing classes, I remember my IT classes at school were double clicking documents and opening Word, and that was considered learning how to use a computer. When my son came home and was like, "Oh, we're building video games in Scratch," you're like,
"Yeah,
that's not a lesson. Show me what it is." And he was really into Five Nights at Freddy's, and he'd like sort of reskinned it with Shrek, and it was hilarious. But yeah, it's great that sort of thing is widely available for people to actually sort of, I guess, feed that creativity, because it sort of led you to here, which is great.
Yeah. Scratch is such a great entry for people. It's so easy to pick up and learn, and it really teaches you the skills of coding. Teaches you that sort of logic of coding in the language. So, yeah.
Very cool. No, I love it.
Just before we move on, I think Miles and Leo are the two youngest people we've ever had on our channel. PS2.
Yeah. PS2, yeah.
I started with PS2. I was already at uni.
She said you were born just before the millennium, so that means your birthday doesn't have a 2 at the start.
No,
that's fine. You're still welcome here. It's when people say I'm born
early 90s.
It's when someone says, "Oh, my birthday's 2000," and you're like, "And there's
there's more."
Terrifying. Okay, so
by the way, sorry guys, I saw a couple of people commented that they met us and was, so big shout out to them as well.
Yes, I think we've got Mag in the chat, middle-aged gamer guy, fantastic streamer, absolutely phenomenal. He'd be a really good guy to get in touch with if you if you fancy.
I mean, it was great to meet him once as well.
Excellent, there he is. Okay, so our next question for you guys is, if it wants to work. There we go. What is it that brought you guys all together? Who sort of, I guess, how did it happen? How did your team start?
Yeah, in a way, again, I grew up in Italy, and I always loved computer. And again, started programming when I was 8 on the BBC Micro. And then I moved on to the Amiga. And at that time, there were amazing magazines that you would buy monthly, and they will tell you all about the next games, previews. development diaries, and I used to read diaries of people in the UK that will create games like Team 17, that kind of stuff. And I was really inspired. I said, I want to do that too, one day. So it took a bit of time because I went to uni, finished uni, and then I worked in Italy for about 1 year. I wasn't very happy with the salary and the job, and then people were looking for there were position open in the UK, and I moved. Started working for other companies for about 3 years. And then I started out a bit because, again, at the time I had no kids and no mortgage. And I said, if you want to try something, now is the time to do it.
Yeah.
You can still do it with kids and mortgage, okay? But when, you get started when you don't, right? And the iPhone just launched and I started making mobile games for the iPhone and then Android. And then I wanted to tackle more complex projects. And we did a bunch of indie games on mobile, on the iPad, and then we started making games for PC. Obviously, I love classic games by Sensible Software, Team 17. So I wanted to recreate those kind of games. And we did Super Arcade Football and Super Arcade Racing, which are very much like games you will find from the 90s, but modernized a little bit with more content, online, local co-op and versus. And they did really well, and we ported the game on PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. And then we wanted to tackle some more complex projects, and that's when I wanted to work with some, artists, like really good animators. And that's the time Leo joined the company. Was it 2 years ago now? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe you can continue the story from there.
Yeah. So in my case, I come from an art background. I studied illustration in London, right? But I always knew I wanted to work in the game industry, especially from League of Legends. I was just amazed by how much they focused on, make the game look good and how important that is. So I knew I wanted to work in the game industry as an artist. And right after graduating, I sent out some emails and reached out to Ali asking for an internship, and he was nice enough to give me one. And funny enough, during my 1 month internship, I managed to bash out a lot of animations when they needed it. So he was like, you know what, just come along and keep doing those animations for us, right? And then after that, the company went through some changes as well, and I ended up being the only artist for a period of time.
Yeah. The other artist just retired, which was nice. I mean, we had a nice relationship, but he was decided to retire, and Leo was there already, so we just stayed together.
Yeah, and I mean, I joined as Full Void was starting. Like the project was in the early prototype stage, and Ali showed me how the game looked and what the idea was, and I felt like, oh, I really like this, and I want to work on this. I joined the company, and then a bit over a year ago is when we realized maybe we need another artist to help make such a big game, right? And that's when Miles joined the company.
Yeah. So before working Out of the Bit, I'd been working on a game called Shadows of Doubt, and I finished my contract with that, and then sort of saw a post on Twitter from the company and applied to the job. I did an art test for them, and then came down for an interview. And it was, I saw the office, I saw the game, I saw Full Void, like the really early prototype of Full Void, and went, okay, maybe this is something that I can do. And I think what's quite interesting as well is that the art test that I ended up doing is fairly similar to the actual style of Full Void that we've done, despite the fact that I had no idea what the style of Full Void was. We had some early concept art, and I then brought that and developed that. So because I've specialized in pixel art, and Shadows of Doubt is kind of like a sort of neo-noir, cyberpunky sort of game. And so that art style translated quite well to Full Void. And so using all of my pixel art knowledge and experience with that, and, Scratch, I'd done loads of pixel art. I then helped develop the art style and taught Leo things, and Leo then taught me things. And then from that point on, Full Void slowly built and.
Yeah, you mentioned about your voxel background before.
I guess as well I could bring that up as because with voxel art, Shadows of Doubt was a almost purely voxel based game, textures and voxel art. And I actually ended up bringing that voxel art into Full Void. So we've got some 3D objects in the game, and we were using a different method, but because I knew voxel art and I knew the software Cubicle, I was like, how about we try this? And so that helped bring a lot of the puzzles to like a whole nother level, because we could be way more complicated and bring some stuff to that. And then it's also like the whole 3D stuff. You've got the hacking and spinning, and there's loads of voxel art in it that you probably won't be able to tell.
It helps to give that unique cyberpunk look.
And make animation easier for us.
For some of the things.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, because it's I'm a sucker for pixel art games of retro modern games, things like Hunt Down, Blazing Chrome, and that kind of thing. Because it really sort of takes me right back to that 16-bit Super Nintendo era, which for me is a very happy period in gaming. When we saw Full Void, I must admit the first time I actually saw it was during Evercade's showcase that they put on, and that was one of the games I think I remember saying on our sort of roundup that was like, that's the kind of thing that they need to be pulling to this system, because it's that sort of retro look and it's pixel, but it does stand out from everything else. All of the really good pixel art games that are modern and everything like that, the good ones stand apart from the others, and Full Void definitely does that. So hearing how you've all kind of come together and actually sort of influenced each other and taken in ideas, you can see why this game is the way that it is. That's really, really cool.
That means a lot. Thank you.
So sticking with sort of where we're at in terms of you guys have all come together, you're obviously sort of clicking and gelling into the right sort of frame of mind. What was the plan going into making Full Void, or was there just sort of a story concept and you built from there, or what was it? How did Full Void sort of come to fruition?
It connects together with my vision for the company. I always say we had 2D games, and I agree with you, the golden age where we had the Mega Drive, the Super Nintendo, Neo Geo, that kind of look, right? When we had a bit more memory, we could do a bit more compared to 8 bits. But then everything went 3D, right? So things go back in 2D up to a certain point. Then after PlayStation and 3D, or like everything was 3D, and no one wanted to see a pixel art anymore. Of course, we still had pixel art here and there, but we kind of lost like one area. Like now that finally we have the memory to do any animations we want, put hundreds of animations, create full screen animations, we're actually mostly using 3D, and that's what we want to do with the company. We want to actually, let's do 2D like was never done before, and that's why we need the artists, and it takes time because everything is hand drawn and hand animated, and it's like doing an animated film. It takes time to do it, but that wasn't possible on the Mega Drive, on the Amiga. You could see amazing stuff on the Mega Drive and the Amiga, but the memory was still limited, like 64K of RAM for the Mega Drive, and anyway, megabytes of memory on the cartridge and the Amiga. But now, even if you use like 100, 200 megabytes, we can have lots and lots of stuff in game, and that's what we're trying to do together with the guys. So for Full Void, the idea was this, to provide an adventure, something people could play, a bit like Another World. Like Another World managed to do it on the Amiga because it was vector based. So we kind of go around the limitation of the pixel buffer and the graphic, because it could really be cinematic, and that's why it stood out so much on the Amiga. It still is a great game. So really a piece of art, the game. And that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to do an adventure, something you will pick up and play, and you will have no idea what's going to happen on the next screen, because the next screen is like a different painting. It's something that we design all together from scratch. So most 2D games, you got a tile set, right? You got a bunch of tiles, you put them together to save memory, and then you scroll. So you can already picture what's going to be on the next screen, right? Or then maybe they change a tile set per level. What we do is very different. We just approach each screen as a unique piece of art, or whatever we want to do or we want to focus on. And then the guys, they can explain probably better than what I can do, how they put screens together. But that was the idea, to provide an adventure, just to answer your question.
Yeah. And for us, I mean, the company's motto is modern classics, right? So we came in to add that modern,
Yeah.
the art, right?
Modern classic.
looks wise.
Yeah.
Right. So Ali had most of the ideas and the story and the general, like, his goal with the game. But then obviously we contributed a lot to it as well. We all had almost like an equal say, you could say. And like maybe we had a different ending in mind and we thought it would be better. And I would all kind of pitch in our ideas for story, art, and anything.
Yeah.
We built the game, like as we worked on it, things just kind of fell together, and then sometimes we would change things until we had that finished product that we're all really happy with. Right?
Yeah, there was a lot of iteration and changes,
Yeah.
stuff as it should be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then on the side of the art as well with that is that, like, I joined when we had a sort of rough concept of Leo had done a ton of concept art and visuals with that, and in terms of that composition, I think that's something that I find really fun about the game is each screen is its own composition, and so you are having to come up with a whole story and narrative within the composition, trying to move the story forward within the environment. Obviously, there's no text in the game as well. And then we've also got the whole sort of system with the lighting. That's how we sort of define the level design.
The play area.
Play area, because with a tile set, you can sort of be a bit more specific or like more obvious about where the player can move, because you can contrast against the background or you can fit yourself to a grid. When you're doing something in perspective, a lot of the time where you're actually playing isn't very clear. The player moves within a grid movement system, but you have perspective, and so we have to do a ton of tricks as well with the lighting and how we draw objects, and it's a lot of play testing to be able to get that. So with that plan in mind, we had to really, think about every single level and how we do the perspective.
Yeah. And kind of to complete your answer, like certain things were kind of set from the beginning. We knew also from the beginning together with Leo that we wanted to tell the story without text or voice. So you just play and you figure out what happens. So you've got the feeling of adventure, right? Also kind of the dark atmosphere that was set from the beginning. Because of the story that we wanted to tell. And then obviously, like Leo and Mike said, we just evolved the project and iterated a lot on it.
Yeah.
And I need to add towards the end, we also had Tom on board. He's an animator and a pixel artist, contributed a lot to the animations of the game and the full screen animations. And then also Jack helped for 3 months with the ambient audio of the games, and Robin did the soundtrack in Amiga mod format as well. That's just to give you guys an overview of the rest of the team.
Yeah. So how many people involved in the team in total? So
in total, 7 people.
Okay. Excellent.
Shall we show a clip of the game? I think we should.
Are we all right to do that?
Please
go for it.
Yeah, let's show. I love this. Let's show this. So good.
Looks good, doesn't it?
I just love how it shows how the world looked before the story of Full Void started. It's whose idea was to bring that element to the game?
Well, I don't want to spoil the ending, but there was something connected with the game, and we just wanted to show what was before, what was after, right? Have the sense, okay, also make you feel alone during the normal gameplay by contrasting what was before, right? Yeah, so we kind of work on that together, but it was kind of the pillars of the game from the beginning, really.
Yeah, from the start we knew we wanted to have a lot of like adding clues here and there, whether it's hidden in the background or it's like as you progress in the story you just see these flashbacks, and kind of have the player piece together how this world came to be, and what is happening and what you're gonna do, right?
Mm.
That clip as well actually is a great example of what I was just talking about with the art. When you climb down that ledge, in a lot of early versions, you would keep just walking off the ledge because you couldn't tell where the player was supposed to stop. So you've got a pipe, some plants, and a wall streak to indicate where you actually drop off. And then there's a bar as well, which is highlighted in like bright light to show where you'll grab onto. And then as well on the other side with the tram, the top of the tram's lit up, and that's to sort of suggest, oh, you've got to go over this way. Hopefully, like you don't really figure that out immediately, but I think as you play, you start to realize, you'll start to see the pattern that the light is sort of the direction that you need to go. A lot of people will just sort of walk around going, what? Where do I go?
I'm that type of person. I didn't notice that. I played through the game, so it's very subtle to me anyway, because I didn't realize.
It probably affects you like unconsciously.
But like you're saying, it's all those little design choices that you make that mean, well, like Ryan said, if he plays through it without thinking, oh look, the light, that's where I've got to go, if he just in his mind is like, this is where I naturally feel like I want to go, then that's the design working at its best. That's really cool.
There's several instances where without playtesting, that probably would have annoyed a lot of players, because we had to change sections which looked like there was light, and players would naturally go that way because they think, oh, this is a route that you can go. And so with playtesting, we changed a lot of those areas.
Right. Yeah. Also, with I think in one of our early levels, there was just a door in the background, that was open, and people just kept trying to go in there. We're like, we got to just close that door at some point.
So you just slap some boards on it.
Boarded it up.
By the way, sometimes so that I'm saying, what that screen there might be an Easter egg there.
True. Yeah.
Just explore.
Maybe you can go into that now.
Well, there's two different doors, I think, that we're talking about. But I think
I'm going to be trying every door now.
Not marked places.
Ryan, if throughout because I think we've got other clips and screenshots as well to pop up.
Yeah, we've got another clip to show, and we've got a couple of screenshots as well. But I think
chime in when you think they're when they should be coming through.
Of course.
Excellent. I mean, that sort of leads us quite nicely, because we've been talking a little bit about the art and the story, into what are some of the influences behind Full Void. So I know you've mentioned like Another World and that kind of thing, but there's some other games that not necessarily that we would think necessarily looking at them that have kind of influenced your sort of take into where Full Void is.
Yeah, I guess I can start from the obvious, and I'm a big fan of Prince of Persia as well, like the classic one. I can speed run the game. I can play with my eyes closed. I really, really like it a lot.
Yeah.
And then obviously, Another World, Flashback as well, Abyss Odyssey, those are the classic. Also, again, like I mentioned, I love most of the games on the Amiga, like the big games from Bitmap Brothers or Team 17, Sensible Software. Then, aside from games, there are also some of the comics. There is a very obscure Japanese comic manga, which is called Guyver, the Bio Armor. In that comic, I don't know if you guys know it. It's still unfinished. I started the comic when I was 15. It's still not finished, the story. Anyway, I like that comic. There's a lot of biology and bio morphing, which I like. It's one of the reference in a way for Full Void as well. If you play the game until the end, you will see some connection there. And then I like Stranger Things, horror in general. That's my insight. I don't know about you guys.
You go.
So I think with a lot of the influences of the game, there's probably a lot more to it than just other games. A lot of what we would do was reference films. So I remember we sat down on this sofa and put on the TV a ton of different YouTube clips of films, like action films, to really get that feeling of suspense, and horror films as well. Just to, because it's a cinematic narrative. So video games are great for mechanics, but a lot of the time films is actually where this is going to be the most effective, because you have this composition, you have lighting, and you have audio as well. And so something that we would do with like the Monster is, find clips from certain films and go, this is the sort of sound that we want. This is the tone that we're looking for. Because it's atmospheric as well. It's not. There's a lot of just diegetic audio rather than music.
Mm-hmm.
And then regarding some more modern games the world's inspired by, there's Inside and Limbo by Playdead, which right, they're amazing. Ali introduced me to those games, and they were definitely a big influence. And then also Little Nightmares, although it's a little bit too gory for what we were going for, but for the type of like tension and atmosphere, that was one of our influences.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Leo. I wanted to be able to play the game together with my kids.
Yep.
Again, I love Limbo and Inside. They're great games. I cannot play them with my kids because they don't like violence. They're still almost 14, so they cannot play those games. And I wanted to have an experience which was a bit horror, but also enjoyable by the whole family. So you can take turns. They can help solving puzzle as well. So that was one of the goals. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it. And then, like Miles mentioned, we really looked mostly at films and stuff. I remember we went to the cinema together with Leo once, and we went to watch the latest 007, 007 film. And there was a section where we're talking like we were very chill, and there was a massive explosion. Just jump. I think if you watch, you know what scene right? And we just jumped and said, oh, that's what we need. That's what we want in the game. Like really surprised people. And so there was a lot of influence from films as well. And also animation, like Studio Ghibli and that kind of stuff.
We would almost get annoying, if we consume any piece of media. Usually we would talk about, what was your favorite scene? What do you think of the actor? But we would go like, that one part, we should put that in the game.
I mean, it's great that you're sort of wanting to have that sort of, I guess, like a family-friendly horror. I think that's what Mag put there, a family-friendly horror experience, because, I mean, horror is my jam. That's like my blood. It's been part of me since I was probably born. I'm passing it on to my kids as well. I mean, all that is basically horror.
Wow.
But to have something that has that sort of little bit of scare to it, but still that bit of fun to it is a really, for me as a horror fan, it's important to be able to have those sort of experiences with your kids, like you were saying, Ali. It's it's like when you watch Ghostbusters for the first time. It's funny, but it's a little bit scary at times, but it's not terrifying. In that instance, I think you've absolutely nailed every aspect of of what you've set out to achieve with that. So it's just really cool to hear the various influences. Like certainly the horror stuff for sure.
Yeah. And to be fair, my kids gave me a lot of advices. They were able to play the game.
They were some of the main play testers for this.
Yeah, and kids, they come up with all sorts of stuff. Which is
yes, they do. Yes, they do. Sometimes you have to put that little filter on them and be like, let's just dial that back a bit. We're not going quite that far.
I think it's sort of also unlikely influence that we had was 2000 AD as well, in terms of because obviously we've got all of these comics, and actually that's the sort of art style that we wanted to go for, is something quite Western and it has that retro aesthetic. For example, like our cover art that you can see behind us, we wanted to make sure that it still felt very Western, still felt very retro, because a lot of modern things that they are quite influenced by anime, and I really love that style, but we wanted to make sure that people felt like they were being taken back.
Yeah, no, that's I mean that's a really good point to sort of pull through on. It's setting the style of the game in an environment where there are a lot of games that are in that sort of style, but these artistic choices that you've actually gone, no, I want it to do this, and I want it to feel like this, so that it does this. That's, I think, what is really sort of drawing people to want to play the game, and certainly has brought us here to talk to you about it for sure. Seeing as we're heading that way with art style, let's run straight with it. So the art style of Full Void, we're sort of already, I guess, sort of talking about it, but why make a game like Full Void in 2023 when there's, as we've said, there's all the 3D elements, there's all these other things that people can do. What is it that made you think, I'm going to make Full Void in this modern era?
Yeah, great question. I'll tell you what, in an age of AI and 3D, which is so easy to, create stuff in 3D or with AI, we wanted to bring the handcrafted nature of art back into people and game. So that's something, again, everything is done by hand by those lovely artists, and they really sweat the details. And you can tell when something's animated by hand. And there are advantages, right? In 3D, if you got a 3D, like you create a scene unit or some engine, right? Everything has to make sense, has to fit the right proportion. You can fake some stuff, okay? But, you use physics, it becomes a bit constrained. We have no such constraint. If we can think of it, we can just do it. It's the same difference as the live action versus like Studio Ghibli. They can animate whatever they want, as long as it makes sense for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, Peppa Pig. You never see Peppa Pig from the front. They can do whatever they want, right? It's the same concept. And so I do like the challenge of making something by hand and showing that, okay, it's handcrafted. And that's the value that we bring to the table. And again, it's something that wasn't possible back in the 90s. So the game, it is a bit of a retro game, but actually it will struggle to animate the amount of content of a machine from the 90s. Mm-hmm. So it's modern in that sense. It's a modern game. It's something not many people are doing, like, this level of handcrafted animations, because it does take a lot of time and energy and resources.
Yeah, you just see Miles hanging his head then. Yes, it does.
Yeah. And also, we didn't really want to trend hop either. At the moment, it's like you see one game succeeding and then you see 100 copies of it.
Mm-hmm.
And our ideas was to just really make something that will last, right? Something you can play 10, 20 years down the line, and it still is a good experience for you. And that was also one of the reasons we went with what Full Void became.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know if it was intended as an influence or even as a style of game, because it's just as we've been sort of talking about it, and just as you said then, Leo, about games that last, things that sort of stand the test of time. I've recently just finished the Blade Runner remastered that came out for PS4, PS5 of the 90s PC game. So I did have a PC once, and I did play games on it. Playing that game now, it's not really a remaster. They've kind of lied to us, really. They've just put the PC version on a disc, and it looks okay. But the game itself is still magical. It still plays fantastically. It's a point and click game, so you literally just put the cursor where you want, click to where you want it to go. It's it's quite a nice relaxing experience. But I got to the end of that and still felt this is still a really good game. There are games that I've paid £60-70 for that have taken 30 hours to complete that are still not as good as that game is. And albeit I've only played half an hour of Full Void, because like I said, I can't do any more, because otherwise I wouldn't have given Ryan Steam Deck back, and I certainly would have spoiled myself for November. But it's got that feel to it. It's got this feel of adventure, of wanting to explore. And that, I think if you've set out to make a game that lasts, I think it will last. It's, for me, it had that, I'm just sort of looking at it there, it's got that Blade Runner vibe for me in terms of game and lasting, and it's going to be interesting. I really can't wait to play the whole game.
I'm glad you mentioned point and clicks, because one of the games I love that I kind of forgot to mention earlier is adventure games like Monkey Islands and Indiana Jones, that kind of early LucasArts adventure. I'm a big fan, and I think Monkey Island, the first one and the second one, they're still great game. I played together with my kids, and they enjoy them as if they were new games. They really enjoy that. Obviously, you can save, so they're still great games, 20 years after. So,
Excellent.
Yeah, I think as well, like on the topic of pixel art as an art style in 2023, we are in like a golden age of pixel art. You see so many pixel art indie games. I think what we've already sort of touched upon, what sets us apart from other pixel art games, is that composition, that heavy art based style.
Mm-hmm.
And then in addition to that, making a pixel art game now, which is still retro inspired, is all about the technological limitations. Ali sort of mentioned this before. We're not limited by our technology anymore, so we're almost making the games that people would have wanted to make back in the day when we didn't have those limitations. We're not limited by palette. We still pay homage to those by having limited colors, but in the end, we can do whatever we want. And I think that's sort of one of the benefits. And then the other benefit of pixel art as well is that it's really great for rapid iteration. for just game development in general. You know, we could try out colors, we can quickly change things, you know, we can have the game running, we go, that doesn't look right, quickly pop to the computer, 5 minutes later, we've got a change for that level.
It's really cool. And pixel art is like you said, it is its own art form. The fact that it's now, you know, could we say it's its own genre now? I think it is. You know, what type of game is that? It's a pixel art game. That's almost like the first thing that comes off. People will then sort of build in their mind what they think it is, and then you can kind of run from, is it a platformer, is it, you know, however else you've chosen to do the game. But it looks like a painstaking art form, you know, to be able to do that all by hand. You know, that's absolutely insane. I absolutely take my hat off to anyone that's going to do pixel art, because I mean, you must love it. Surely that's you got to love it.
If you get me on a rant about specific pixel art techniques, I will bore you for a good hour. I sort of just came in and went, have you heard of banding and jaggies? And Leo's like, no, I haven't.
I don't want to, please.
It's like, since I've had my Steam Deck, someone said to me today, why haven't you got a AAA game on there like Grand Theft Auto? Because he looked at my library and I've got Full Void, Hotline Miami, Slabs and Beans. I prefer the modern retro games. That's what I want to play on my Steam Deck. They're charming
as well, and there's a lot more emotion to them. I think that's why I like 2D art as well, is you can put so much more emotion into something like this.
Yeah, and to be fair, Pixar games look great on the Steam Deck or the Evercade. There's something about the screen size; it just works really well. I don't know, brings me back to the Game Boy like age in a way, or Nintendo DS as well.
Yep,
definitely.
So we've mentioned Steam Deck a couple of times. So before we get on to sort of talking about the Evercade product and how you guys became involved with that, something we just wanted to touch on is that Full Void runs natively on a Steam Deck, which, when Ryan said that to me, I was like, we're going to have to ask this, because that's going to need a bit of explaining to someone in my head. I'm definitely an ideas man. I'm the one that throws all these stupid things out there, and people say you can't do that because we can't do the technology. So yeah, can someone explain the Full Void running native on Steam Deck?
Sure. Let me step back 1 second. We're very old school, so we like to do everything from scratch, end to end. We are a bit crazy in that regard. So we got our own engine, so we were not affected by any of the latest discussion on engine and stuff. We just know how to do it, and we like to do it from the start. So having our own engine, we got full control of the stack. So we were able to port it to, it's very lightweight, and we were able to port it to, other than PC, Mac, Linux, Nintendo Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, and mobile. Obviously, Full Void is not for mobile, but our engine runs on mobile. And since we got a Linux porting of Full Void already done, it was really easy to optimize it for the Steam Deck. So Steam Deck, normally on Steam Deck, it's got a layer that helps you run games that are designed for Windows, and it does it really well, to be fair. So Full Void, we could have used that option, but we had the Linux, porting anyway. So we said, let's optimize it. We launch faster. And if you notice, Full Void is really quick to load. And once it loads, which is like instant, there are no loading times anymore, 0. Like the game will never stop to load anything forever. It's just done. And so, it's a better experience on the Steam Deck. You just, especially on a like portable machine like the Evercade or the Steam Deck, you just want to pick it up, play, and then, very quickly. You don't want to wait for the game to load and then update and then whatever, right? So that's a reason. We had the Linux port, and basically that's what we use for Steam Deck.
Excellent.
Also,
so
it's on offer on Steam Deck.
Blunners coming in there with a pitch.
£11.19.
I got to give a shout out, to Rafael, which is the other developer together in addition to myself at the company. So Rafael takes care of the porting of the engine. While we worked on the game, he optimized the game for Linux and the Steam Deck. It's done an amazing job.
Nice. I think it's me and you, Derek. We're the only two that don't have a Steam Deck here. I think we'll have to rectify this next year.
So I don't have one either.
Yeah, we might have to. We might have to.
Yes, still the company one.
Excellent. Okay, so we'll move into some of the more Evercade topics, seeing as we are an Evercade podcast.
Shall we show another clip before we
Oh,
go
yes.
on to
Yeah,
the
please.
Evercade?
Yes.
Let's show another clip of the game. Okay, here we go.
Oh, it's tantalizing, isn't it? It's like
Good.
there's a good mystery to uncover here. You can feel the adventure. It's so good. So before we get on to the how did it happen, I feel like I'm going to go round to Derek and Blunners and also Mr. Ryan here. So the excitement for Full Void coming to Evercade. How do we feel, Derek?
Oh, this is a massive, massive opportunity for the Evercade community to grasp a game of this magnitude. As I say, I grew up, it was almost 40 years ago with Another World and Flashback. There were so many of those fantastic style games being done then. Even this year, we're still waiting for Flashback 2 in November. And fans like myself will be eagerly anticipating that at the stroke of midnight. We waited that long and we love those type of games. Even Blackthorn on the Super Nintendo is very, very similar to Flashback. So yes, we are super excited about Full Void coming to the Evercade and just getting that whole experience. And if, like myself, you've jumped in, you've bought that special edition, and you're looking forward to the comic and the art book and the double-sided posters and things like that, then this is definitely the game for you. And hopefully you're equally as excited as I am.
Derek is our man. He's our go-to for everything like that. So yeah, he's always got all the knowledge. So, and he's a good salesman as well. Throwing that out there.
Yeah, you can pitch the game better than us.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Mr. Blunners, this is one you're excited for as well.
Yeah, I can't wait for this one. I might, as I said, I might just double dip and get it on both. Get it on the Steam Deck and the Evercade. So yeah, I just love the look of it, and like you guys have said, all the hard work and the blood, sweat, and tears that you guys have put in for it. I just hope it does so well for you on all platforms.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Ryan, I know you've already played through it, but you do have your Evercade version on order as well. So excited for this on the system.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it on the VS, playing it on the big screen, playing it through again. Might be good. You mentioned playing it with a child. My daughter's 9 years old and she's into video games. She'd probably sit through and play this with me. And it's a game that it's not unforgiving. You know, there's some tricky elements to it, but I find that with a bit of practice, you can progress through. And anyone who's got an Evercade needs to get this game. This is up there. I really like Elwo's Awakening. And I would say this is on a par with Elwo's Awakening in terms of the best game on Evercade. I honestly think it's absolutely superb. And I'll give a bit more of a review in a while, when we talk about the hype of the game and the positive reactions that it's received. But yeah, on Evercade, I can't think of a better game for the platform.
I think we said just before we went live, I was mortified a couple of weeks ago where I thought I've not put in the pre-order for that, you know, the nice Evercade version. You know, I like the physical thing. If there's a limited version, I kind of feel like I need to have that as well. But Derek will be happy because I messaged Ryan earlier when I was going through my Amazon orders. I did order it. I just managed to forget that I'd ordered it, and you know, the panic was for nothing. So we're all good. I'm back on track. Everything's okay with the world. Everything can reset to normal. So yeah, for you guys then, how did the deal with Evercade kind of come around? Were you aware of what it was beforehand, or yeah, just tell us how that worked out?
Yeah, I read Retro Gamer magazine pretty much every month, and obviously they talk about Evercade a lot, and I was very much interested in it. And last December, I went to the Nottingham video game exhibition that they did. It was quite small, very nice show they put together there. And there I met Liam and Mark from Evercade Evolution magazine. They were super nice, and they saw what we're doing. They saw our games, and they said, those games will be perfect on the Evercade. And I said, yeah, actually, I'd love to put the games on the Evercade. And then that's it. I just went home and I got an email from Liam that put me in contact with the CTO and CEO of Evercade, Andrew and Ryan, and they were super nice. So I said, why don't you guys come over to the office and we show you also what we're working on. And they came over to Wimbledon. Our office is in Wimbledon in London. And they saw an early version of Food Void. They played the game. And I think they really, really like it. And they said, this is going to be perfect on the Evercade. And they said, you know what? We'll do the first single game release cartridge on Evercade with Food Void. And we were so excited, so happy. And we said, okay, on our side, we'll make our best effort to put as much content as possible into the normal edition and the special edition. So we did the prelude comic for both of them. So the guys did a fantastic job. We really had fun working the story. It was quite tricky because we had to work on the game and the content for the physical release, and we never done physical release before. We only done digital. So there was our deadline at the end of June, early July. And but we pulled it off. Yeah. I'm happy to say we did not crunch. No, we didn't work on weekends. We worked 8 hours a day, Monday to Friday, but we did work. Oh my God. Yeah. So they did the comic. Again, it was quite fun also to work on the comic and the backstory for the game. And then we did, the guys work on an art book, which was for the special edition, right? I guess you guys can.
Yeah, I mean, just the whole idea of having your game on a physical release is really exciting to me as well. So I think that aspect of working with Evercade to put Full Void onto a physical cartridge was amazing. When we sat down and started having meetings, like, what are we going to do for the game? And we talked about the special edition. We talked about all the different things that we could put in it. Like, what do people want? How's the box going to look? And then they started sending files over as well. This is how to make it. And so I recolored the cartridge that they had and put the Full Void sticker on it, and made the little mock-up, and was like, this is cool. And we're deciding on the color of the cartridge and the box art and everything like that, and then working on the art book as well. I think I'm still yet to see like the art book and the manual, but like Ali was saying, we were working on that while we're finishing the game. And I think the art book's something like 60 pages. It's a lot. And I think I put it together in about 2 weeks. And I think the amazing thing about that as well for me is I wasn't part of the project early on. And so we had to go back through and take all of the artwork, even the really, really early prototype stuff that doesn't look anything like Full Void looks now, and put that into the book. And so I got to see some of that old artwork. I think actually what's quite funny as well is I saw this old artwork and went, oh, actually, this is quite nice, because some of it was from the old artist, Dave Swan. And so he's a traditional pixel, like a really sort of a veteran pixel artist. And so I took some of his techniques and then put it into some later stuff that I hadn't seen before. So you might see some of that in some Easter eggs if you can find that.
Yeah, I have to say, Andrew and Ryan and everyone else at Blaze, they've been amazing. Like, they've been the best partners, honestly. They were super easy to work with, and we really had fun working together with them.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for those getting the special edition, this game had a lot of focus on art. So the art book was jam-packed. We even had to take some parts out where we were like, damn, I really like this image, but it's just like we have so much to show already.
Yeah.
So we're super excited. I really want to see the actual art book myself as well.
Yeah, and again, for a person who grew up looking at magazines with the work in progress art, like I remember some of the adventure games, they will show concept art and stuff like that. I always loved looking at this stuff. So it's nice to be able to show people what's been done in Full Void, also stuff is done in the game, but it's part of concept and mock-ups for screens and enemies and stuff like that.
It's really nice as well just for us to look back at everything that we've done, because you really get to see all of the little stages, and it really puts everything in perspective, because we're just like working day by day, and you know, we just see everything individual, and then once you put it all out, you're like, oh wow, that's a lot of stuff. And I think well, with the art book, something that we've done with it was we've got these concertinas. Yeah, that's the right word. Because with the art in Full Void, the levels, although they're discrete screens, a lot of them have been made to be tiled, and so I've taken some of those screens and put them together, and so there's a nice little fold out bit in the art book which combines all of the screens together, so you can see one long composition. And so there's a few of those. I think we've got 2 concertinas within the art book of various levels, and so you can see how that all works together, which you wouldn't be able to see otherwise in game.
So you can tell we're all 16-bit kids, can't you? Because as soon as you said that, everybody went, ah. Like looking around for approval, like, yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on that now.
Yeah, I think Retro Gamer Magazine has done that for some games, which is always nice to see when you see them together. Right?
Yeah.
On the screens.
Yeah. But I mean, it always comes back in my mind, this discussion of physical versus digital. And, you know, I'm one of these people that if I know there's a physical version coming, I will happily wait. You know, whether that's a year, 6 months. You know, the Quake 2 remasters just come out. Like, you know, I could go and download that now. You know, I can play that tonight if I really want to. But, you know, Limited Run announced that they were doing a 2-month pre-order for it. And you're like, all right, cool. Well, I guess I'm going to be playing that in 2024. And there's plenty of other things to play. But if I can have the physical version, I always will. I think there was one game going off on tangent. I think it was Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice on PS4 that they were like, yeah, it's not coming physically. Like, right, well, okay, I'll buy this digitally. And 6 months later, they're like, oh yeah, here's the physical. God. So I had to buy it again. Like, I've done everything in the game, but just wanted it on the shelf. Yeah, it has to happen. So yeah, very glad that that this Evercade deal has worked really well for you guys, because yeah, it's a cool game. So to have it physically, for me, that's a big tick, and I think it's the same for everyone here as well. It's the physical thing. It's it's a big deal.
Yeah. I'm definitely thinking of getting a Evercade at this point as well, especially the little pocket edition that they've just released. That's something that I want to carry around in my pocket with a cartridge of Full Void and go, hey guys, look at this game that I made.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be a great party piece, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okie dokie. So, moving on to a part where Ryan is going to be able to give us his review of the game here. We will talk about some of the positive reactions and the reception that Full Void has had. I'll let sort of maybe Ryan and Derek jump in here to sort of discuss the positive praise about the game, because it has had. I mean, it's had universal praise, hasn't it? Really.
Yeah, just to give my thoughts on it, and I've kind of hinted towards my feelings during the podcast. I was lucky enough to be able to play Full Void on my Steam Deck, and it runs immaculately on there. Having an analog stick is an added bonus, I think, for the game. But I think that's because we're just so used to analog sticks now. So don't worry with Evercade, because without the analog stick there, it will run just as well. But I think we're just a generation of analog stickers now. But yeah, getting back to the game, it's really atmospheric. It actually made me jump a couple of times without giving anything away when I was playing. I was like, whoa, didn't expect that to happen. And it's not many games that manage to do that. I enjoy the puzzle elements to it. Going into the game, I didn't realize that there was going to be a few puzzle elements, but that really adds to it. But I don't want to give too much away, because I see people in the comments saying no spoilers. It's just a brilliant game. You're just in for a real treat. I think it comes out, is it 1st of November? It comes out on Evercade, or 15th of November?
14th of November.
14th of November. So yeah, you just really look forward to playing it. And honestly, once I got it, I couldn't put it down. I was really into it. And it's one of those games where I would stop playing it and think, oh, I wonder what's going to happen next, or the next screen, or the next sort of flashback bit. Absolutely brilliant. And you three and the others in your team should be really proud of yourselves, because it is a cracking game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. And Mr. Derek, what have you been sort of hearing in terms of the sort of positive reception the game's had so far?
Absolutely. I mean, there's been a huge outcry from the community for these type of games, as I say, that are like Flashback and things like that. And if you think with 40 years, we're still talking about those games today. And I hope I'm still here in 40 years' time. If I am, I'd like to think I'll certainly be talking about Full Void still then. So, I think this is a brilliant, brilliant game. And everybody I've come across has been a positive experience, and they're really looking forward to it. So, this is a great opportunity, I think, for the community to get their hands on something really special. And as I say, these type of games don't come along too often. You get a flux of games every year. But let's just think, what did I play last year? I can't really think. But a game like this sticks in my mind. And then when somebody says it, whether you're at a gaming con or, a gaming club, automatically you feel a connection. These games have a certain atmosphere. They invoke a certain feeling, a bit like Stranger Things when you watch that on Netflix. And I got an automatic connection of cycling around on my rally bikes with my friends growing up. And we used to have to go up a massive hill. And I remember cycling up there to get my copy of Flashback. And my goodness, it was a horrific hill. And I wouldn't want to take it any other time in my life. But it was worth it just for that copy. And we sort of took a very slow pedal back after that. But it was worth it for that game, and everybody was on fire in the playgrounds talking about it. And I can see the kids now. I know they'll be absolutely thrilled with this game once they give it a go. It is something special. So I think it's one of those that you keep quiet at home until it launches, and then you get to see what their reactions are, because I think it will be something very special.
Nice.
Yeah, but something that I didn't touch on, the art and the sound effects just go so perfectly together. What you've put together is something really special. So as I say, the Evercade community are in for a real treat in the lead up to Christmas.
Yeah, credits to Jack for the audio. Thank you so much, guys. That means so much. I mean, honestly, I'm almost getting emotional. We put so much effort into the game. It was 2 years of our life that we spent in this game. And it was a bit magical. Like, we needed to complete the sounds, and I said to you guys, okay, I'm going to look for someone because we got the deadline approaching. And I got an email from Jack saying, I've seen your game. I make this type of audio. Do you like it? And I listened to it. It was exactly what I wanted for Full Void. I shared that with the guys, and we were like, yes, we got to get this guy on board. Thankfully, it was local. It was from near Crawley, so he could just come to the office every day for couple of months and really had to finalize the audio, get the cinematic feel into the game to really connect it with the art. And we really work closely together to connect the animations with the sounds, and some of the scenes it really adds a lot to the gameplay experience.
He did a great job on the audio. Now that we're on the topic, and really added to the music that Robin's done. And like when you hear the end credit music,
they work really together.
I don't want to say too much, but it's but I think even though it's like an atmospheric game with sound, I think the music is pretty good as well.
It was a surprise to us as well when everything came together in the last 3 months. Everything just connected, and for us it was especially Leo and I that started the project 2 years ago, to see everything connect like that at the end was really, really amazing.
Yeah, especially at the start of the project where we would work without audio, right? It's just like I'm drawing the stuff, he puts into the game, we're just quietly looking at this screen and we're like, I think that's scary. That's scary, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then when we started putting in the audio, I would jump scared. I would get jump scared. I literally drew this. I knew it was gonna happen, but I still got jump scared. It's just the way it came together.
There would be moments when I'd actually play something with the audio and then we'd go, oh yeah, no, this is it, because it brings a whole nother level. And actually a lot of the time, once the audio is in, I'd go, oh, I can make this scarier, because when you see something, it doesn't quite have the same feel as when you hear it, because you're like, oh, this ambience it's scary, it's eerie, but the visuals aren't quite there. And a lot of the art that I do tends to be quite cheery and happy. So when I would look at certain aspects, I'd change it, and it would the audio was so essential.
Yeah, it's a bit like when you watch Stranger Things with without the volume, right? It's like it makes no sense. It doesn't. It's the same.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that you say that it kind of the art style that you particularly sort of normally do is quite cheery. And maybe some of the limitations of what pixel art does means making something a little bit sort of darker or a little bit more jumpy is quite difficult, because the game that I think of that I've played over the last couple of years that I really just loved, and music had a lot to do with it, was Martha is Dead. But it's an indie game, but it's a modern game, and it runs on a PS5 absolutely beautifully. It's fully 3D. It's set in Italy. It's an absolutely magnificent experience. But it really uses things like ray tracing. It really uses all of the graphical elements to create a visually disturbing scene, and then the music on top of that just sort of adds to it. But they're literally throwing everything, including syncs and everything at it to make it as terrifying as it can be. So yeah, trying to do that with pixel art, again, just that clip that Ryan played earlier, I don't know what part of the game that is, but just approaching that building and just having that sort of sustained, I don't know, like keyboard sounds of like dread, and immediately you're like, oh, okay, that's weird. Okay, I'm going to have to go in there. I don't want to go in there, but we're going to go in there, and that's all through pixel art. So that's
pixel art naturally lends itself to quite a cartoony style, voxel art as well. I think what I learned from Shadows of Doubt is really how to make something feel gritty, and I think with people, that's probably the hardest thing to make look scary and feel real. Without but I think it's also it's for kids as well, so actually it softens a little bit of that horror as well.
Yeah, so I just see Alistair Lowe's comment there from Low Tech Games about playing Gears of War 1 with his friends on a projector because his speakers were at the other side of the room. Audio makes such a difference. Alistair is another game developer. He's made some fantastic games. He's made Flea and Tapeworm, which have also come to Evercade. So everyone all Evercade and stuff related this evening.
I've just got I've got a screenshot to show. Talking about the artwork in the game. I really like this. Just the mood to this. It's just brilliant. Whoever put that together, this sort of area. And then you've got this here as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I quite like this section as well, because this really shows that whole foreground background element that we have in Full Void to frame the composition and to completely change the atmosphere. Yeah.
I mean, I'm already like engaging with the character just because it's like hood up, like, yeah, I'm in. That's a bit of me that is walking around with a black hood up, and albeit purple. But
Leo did an absolutely fantastic job with the animations there, because trying to convey that feeling of a kid with a rucksack. They're not an action hero. They're not leaping. I mean, they are leaping from platforms, but they're not like scaling buildings, doing awesome parkour. They're a kid who is trying to get through the world. And a lot of that is conveyed through the motion and the animation. With over 100 character animations, we've got movement for everything. And Leo really knocked out the park with that.
You absolutely did that. Yeah, it's something that I was saying to Ryan when I was playing it today for the first time. As soon as you push the character forward, you're like, oh, this is smooth. It just it feels like when you watch really old claymation and then you watch modern claymation, you're like, oh. That's how it works. And for me, it's the same thing with this. It's got that pixel art vibe. It's got the 16-bit era going for it, but it runs as if it's just butter smooth. So yeah, definitely achieved what you wanted with that for sure. Okay, so we're coming into our last couple of topics here. So I know this one hasn't even technically landed with Evercade yet, but are there plans to do another Full Void? Is the void full yet?
Yeah, it's tricky to say. Full Void came from a specific time of my life where I wanted to say what I wanted to say. I wouldn't mind revisiting in the future, but I'm not ready to do it now. We just want to try something different next.
Yep.
Different in terms of universe, similar in terms of games. Obviously, we're not ready to announce. We are working on something already.
Full Void.
Yes.
It's not a sequel to Full Void. It's another game. But if you enjoy Full Void, you will enjoy the next game. 100%.
Yeah. Kind of answered
don't mind working on Full Void again in the future. Just not right now.
Not right now.
From Dark Art.
Yeah.
So kind of already answered the next question, but that is, what is next for Out of the Bit? What is there anything you can tell us about what you've got coming up next?
Let's see. Carry on with the mission of giving people a short adventure to explore, right? It will be similar. Still 2D, hand animated. So
yeah, and now unlike with Full Void, where we started off with 1.5 artists and one artist for almost a year, and then another artist joined and had to adapt to the style. So it was like, for the next project, we have me, we have Miles, and we have Tom. So we have 3 artists off the bat, right? And we have, right after releasing Full Void, immediately, Ali was like, well, the artists don't have anything to do after the release. So how about you guys already start, thinking of some amazing stuff for the next game? And we just went crazy with ideas and concepts already.
Yeah. And I think as well, like for me, working on Full Void, I'd done maybe one environment art piece before working on that. And now I've done hundreds. And so I've learned a lot. And I've learned so much about color theory and composition, and done loads of animation, and Leo's done loads of animation. Yeah. So whatever the next game is for us, it's going to be a whole nother level.
Yeah, step up.
Yeah, because now the team is bigger, from the start, and they got faster doing what they do and better. So I'm actually excited to see what they do as well, because again, I'm a programmer. I like to put everything together, like lead the project. But I'm as surprised as everyone when I see what those guys do, because I can't draw to save my life. So when they put place all the heart.
We forgot to put programmer on.
When Ali would suggest a new level design idea, he would try to draw Stickman, and we're like,
Stickman,
I actually struggled to draw.
Is that a dog or is that the main character?
So I'm as surprised as everyone else when I see what those guys put together, and having the 3 of them together, it's insane in the office. So good. We already have a prototype of the next game working, and the graphic and the animations are insane.
Yeah.
I'm excited to work with those guys again.
Excellent. I'm just going through now some of the styled questions. I think we've probably answered some of these questions just through natural conversation. So I'll bring them up anyway, just in case somebody joined a little bit late. We can just sort of do like a quick, maybe a quick recap of some of it there. So we had our first one here, specifically for you guys. With all the popular platforms out there, what drew you to Blaze's Evercade project? And also were the likes of Another World, Oddworld, Inspire, Full Void? I think you sort of covered it a little bit earlier in terms of Another World, Nabe's Odyssey and stuff. Yes, being a bit of an inspiration. But yeah, maybe we can just sort of run very, very quickly again with what drew you to Blaze and the Evercade.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Evercade is a perfect fit for our company mission, like modern classics, right? It's really, it's a modern console, but it's also plays classics, right? And now they're going towards new retro-inspired games as well. So it's really the natural fit for us, for both of us, for Blaze and for us. That's why we really enjoy working together so much.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice to spend some time together with them again at WASD a couple of weeks ago. We're going to meet again in Blackpool. So if everyone is coming to Blackpool, do stop me, say hello. I do enjoy talking to people. That's why I'm going, connecting to people, content creators. It is nice. Trying other games as well, playing other games, talk to the developers. I always love, other pixel art games as well, especially pixel art,
Yeah.
Not just, but I'm very much drawn to pixel art myself as well.
Perfect.
So,
Could we see Super Arcade Football and Super Arcade Racing on a dual Evercade cart? Is that something we could see in the future? Because both those games look great. And
thank you.
Evercade has got sensible soccer, but the other football games aren't great on there. So is that
Thank
something
you.
we could see?
I cannot confirm, neither deny. I'd love to. Yeah, watch this space.
What a great answer. I'm fully versed in the neither confirm deny policy. So, okay. So next question is from another RGR team member. This is from our friend Tim. Did you have any tricky bugs when making the game, and how did you overcome them? Tim will be asking this because he, over the last year or so, has decided to try his hand at making a Game Boy game. He's doing incredibly well with it. I think it's a very cool little project that he's got going on. So yeah, having an opportunity to, ask you a question like this is probably going to be invaluable to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Tricky, I'm not sure. I would say funny bugs. We had a few funny bugs at some point as we kept adding animations of what the main character could do. Obviously, at some point, some of the earlier levels, then you could do some action, go somewhere else. So escape the grid, escape the matrix, so to speak, and go to like a black screen or something. So we knew what was happening. I'll give you an example. At some point, we introduced the ability to crouch down and then go down a ledge, right? So then we got the demo together for WASD for April. And then at some point in one of the other level, people find a way to escape the grid and go into a black room, right? Which was funny. So we knew how to fix it. It was quite funny. Nothing too tricky really, because again, the engine by this point is quite solid.
I mean, also just every time we did go into a black screen, we go, "Oh, it's the void! It's full void!"
I was like, "Well done, you reached the full void."
Yeah.
Amazing.
Never got old. No. Yeah, I'd say the only bugs we would find is usually when us, the artists, obviously didn't pay attention, and we have something in our drawings that take care of collision for Ali when he codes the game, essentially.
Mhm.
Sometimes we'd forget to put that into the drawing, and then Ali puts it into the game. He's like, I can't see the character, what's going on? And we're like, that's weird, you must have done something wrong in the code, right? And then we look at our artwork and we're like, I'll be right back. Let me just.
A number of times I would export a screen with the character in the artwork of the screen, and I was like, "Why is the character not moving?" It's because the sprite in it is like a reference.
It's like a Spider-Man meme.
Yeah, we'd have to adopt
Yes, everyone's pointing.
Just pointing at each other.
Sometimes I would then intentionally troll Ali by leaving stuff in. That was one time I just left 5 of them about the screen.
Yeah, my last is obsession with Peppa Pig.
Oh god.
Oh, yeah.
If you find any Peppa Pig in the game, there shouldn't be any because we don't have any license to put Peppa Pig in the game.
Yeah.
It was a any placeholder, they would put Peppa Pig in it.
Yeah.
For some reason.
I don't know, it just became a running joke.
I was really scared of actually releasing the game with some Peppa Pig art. If
Yeah.
you find it, it will become a collector edition, right?
And
Yeah.
I don't want to be fired.
Yeah, man, going off, we've done really well to not go off on tangents, because going off on tangents is one of our superpowers. You're mentioning Peppa Pig, and it's got nothing to do with video games whatsoever, but everything to do with Peppa Pig. So anyone that doesn't have kids probably doesn't get to experience Peppa Pig. And I remember when my middle daughter was quite young, she's watching Peppa Pig, and one of my friends come over who doesn't have kids. He's like, "Why is there a pink hairdryer on the telly?" Not having any reference that she's meant to be a pig. And you're like, ever since then, I cannot look at Peppa and see a pig. All I see is a hairdryer. It's just the oddest thing. And if anybody would like to, anyone that's artistic like you guys are, if anyone would like to try and artistically draw Peppa Pig at what she would look like if we looked at her straight on, I'd quite like to see artist interpretations of what they think that's going to look like.
I drew one of those like front on with the 4 eyes as well. With one of the placeholder arts. And then what was really weird as well was I was drawing all of these Peppa Pigs, and then we'd see a poster on the London Underground for Peppa Pig and these tablets, and it had a symbol that's the same as in the game.
No,
that's really weird.
Complete coincidence. Was what?
God, the architect from the Matrix was paying attention there. He's like, this will fuck with these guys.
Oh, actually, that's also with the comic as well.
Oh yeah.
So when Apple Vision got released, can I talk about that? Yeah. When Apple Vision got released, the same week we were doing the comic for the special edition, and we've got this post on our Twitter. Leo somehow managed to draw a still frame from the Apple Vision of someone wearing like a VR headset. It's uncanny. It is.
Yeah, I drew that like a few days before the video release.
Yeah.
Like we didn't know about that. And then,
it's just this like guy with a beard and a VR headset.
It's the same image. It's incredible. Like he drew that before Apple announced it. We've never seen it before, of course. And then Apple did the video, and there was a screenshot of this guy. It was uncanny. It was the same guy that Leo drew.
You're a future seer. You're a visionary.
Imitates art.
Leo is a visionary.
Yeah, I like that, Blunners. Yeah, we'll ask you for the lottery numbers later. We'll see what you think. Okay, final question is from Mr. Goldtooth Gaming. This guy has an incredible talent, which we will tell you about after his question. And that is, if you guys could have one singing artist for the soundtrack, who would you pick?
One singing artist for a soundtrack. For a soundtrack in Full Void.
We'll go with yes. Let's go with yes. We'll keep it Full Void related.
Okay. I'm a sucker for the Cranberry, so I'd say Dolores, but she's dead, unfortunately. So,
it would have been a good choice.
So Dolores would have been a great choice for me.
I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. Something gospel, maybe. Almost orchestral or something. I don't know. Or
Charlotte Church. Just throw that out there.
Bloody hell, mate. There's tangents and there's tangents.
That's a tricky one.
Yeah, I would go for something retro sounding. Yeah, I mean, I listened to a lot of The Weeknd while drawing things for Full Void. You know, it's he's not technically retro, but the beats that he has, you know,
very synthy.
It's very synthy, right? And it put me into the mood to draw those ambience in Full Void. So I mean, I did listen to a lot of.
I
had a song on loop for a few weeks nonstop. I made them go more crazy than me somehow, but
since that question's been asked, I can hear two voices in my head over some of the gameplay and the images I've seen today. So I'm going to chuck Beth Gibbons from Portishead out there as her voice, and I'm a massive Bjork fan. I think Bjork's voice suits everything. So having that Icelandic queen singing over some of the stuff, I'd be all into that. Excellent. Well, thank you everybody in the chat for throwing in your questions there. If we didn't get to one of your questions, it will be just because we absolutely covered it earlier in the show. So rather than reiterate the whole thing again there, guys, I don't think we can thank you enough for giving up some time of your evening to come and talk to us about the development process of the game. Just it's been an absolute pleasure and a real honor to speak to you about it, and just get a little bit of insight into Full Void before it, graces its presence with us on Evercade. Just thank you very, very much. We're always astonished when people say, "Yeah, well, we'll come over and chat to you." Like, it's
Thank you so much for having us. It's been a pleasure to talk to you and hear your thoughts about the game. It's it really makes it feel real for us as well. Like at the end of the project, getting it out there and hearing people's views, because you keep it hidden for so long. You're like, why am I doing this? And then when we hear things from you guys, your reactions, it really, really makes it for us.
Excellent.
Well said.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Well, we obviously wish you the utmost of success with the impending physical release. I think it's going to become, as everyone has said, I think it's going to become one of those games that people just naturally start to gravitate towards. I think it's going to become one of those classic ones that people will talk about for a really long time. You know, in an era where people always complain there's not enough new IP being made, here's one. So, you know, if you're one of those people in the chat that complains there's no original games being made anymore, just go and buy Full Void now. Double dip on it if you must. I think Blunners has already probably done it throughout this stream. I think he's probably already clicked download and is downloading it to his Steam Deck now. From that cheeky smile,
it's in the basket. It's in the basket
gonna say,
at the minute, yeah, and Steam Deck.
From that,
it's already pre-ordered on Evercade. So
from that cheeky smile he gave, it was like, yeah, he's done it. Yeah, there's a high chance that I might end up doing it for the Switch. If I'm honest, there's little parts of me that like, I don't know if I can wait. I mean, I've got the special version. It's because it had to be physical. So can I wait? I don't know. Possibly not.
You just buy it on my Steam Deck. I'll bring it in to work for you again, and you can just crack on with it because it's saved where you were.
That's just going to make me want a Steam Deck, and I don't need a Steam Deck in my life right now, Ryan. I'm barely holding on as it is.
It's nearly Christmas.
I don't need convincing. I'm a terrible person for this. But yeah, no, it has been a genuine pleasure to speak to you guys. Hopefully, we'll be able to talk to you guys again maybe next year when stuff's sort of building up for any newer projects, or you know, if Full Void goes turbo, we'll have to have you back on for a retrospective to sort of talk about the reactions to it and how it's all gone. Everyone in the chat, thank you very, very much for making the chat as active as you do. It's truly a blessing to have you guys all here along with us as well. So thank you all so very much. If you're new to here or you're seeing this after the live element, please do consider hitting that subscribe button, because that does help us out a ton. All that good stuff that you have to say at the end of these things. Hit that like button, because that lets us know that you've been here and lets us know that you like this type of content, and sort of gives us an idea as to what we can jump on in the future. But yeah, just again, on behalf of us all, thank you so very much for joining us out of the bit. Best of luck with the physical release coming up. And again, thank you everyone for watching live, and we will see you all tomorrow. So, it's on Switch. There it is. It's on. It's going to happen, isn't it? We're going to double dip. Never mind. It's happened. I've convinced myself. But no, thank you so much again. And yes, we will see you live tomorrow. So watch this space. And everybody else, good evening.
Have a good evening.
Bye.